All right, now in the last video, we talked about what permissions were, actions on resources, and we ended with saying that in order to provide permissions to our users, we need to go ahead and give them a role, okay? So what is a role on the platform? All right, roles are going to be literally, by definition, a collection of permissions, okay? You can think of these like normal job roles, okay? If it is my job to create content and place it on Liferay University to be seen by you, okay? I need the permissions to be able to create a video and add it to the platform, okay? That's just an example of a job role, all right? Now we want to define that job role in Liferay, and we can go ahead and use roles. On the platform, you'll find that there are roles that can be assigned at different levels, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, okay? The roles can be created in the control panel. In that users section, you'll see that there are the roles options there, okay? Now there are role scopes that are going to represent where we can actually do something on the platform, okay? So again, a role is a collection of permissions. A permission is an action on a resource. The scopes is going to determine where we can perform those actions on a particular resource, okay? The three scopes are regular, sites, and organizations, okay? Now regular is just going to be the entire platform. So if I have a regular role, okay, that means I can perform an action on some resource anywhere on the platform. So if my role is to create content, okay, and it's a regular content creator role, that means that I can create content on any site in the platform. All right. Now there are also site and organization roles, and these allow us to be more specific. So what that means is I can give someone the permissions to, let's say, create content, if we're going to use the same example, in an individual site rather than all of the sites like I could do in a regular role. All right. The same is true with organizations. I had mentioned before that organizations can have sites, but also there's user management organizations as well. Now there are three types of scopes which represent where we can perform actions on resources on the platform, okay? So there is the platform-wide scope, it's known as regular. There is the site scope and the organization scope, okay? So if we were to think about a role where I needed to create content, just a simple role, if I had a regular content writer role, that would mean that I can create content in anywhere on the platform, so any site. So there could be 10 sites, I can create content for all 10 of them, all right? Organization and site roles are going to be much more specific, okay? For a site role, I could create content, if I'm using the same example here, in a specific site or specific set of sites that are designated, okay? So you have to actually designate the sites in order to determine where I can create content, okay? The same would be true for organizations, all right? If we're talking about a content role, the organizations would of course need to have a site, but I can say, I can create content for the Livingston Bali and the Livingston Bavaria Hotel sites, for example, okay? So these allow us to be more specific and say, I would like you to do this job in this context rather than the entire platform. Now there's some predefined roles on the platform. These include things like the administrator, and there's administrator at each scope. So we have a regular administrator. That's what we are working as with the Josiah Copeland account. Okay. We also have organization and site administrator roles, and these give us full privileges for that particular scope. Okay. We have the user role, I discussed this earlier, that's given to everyone with a user account. So once they've registered on the platform, this gives them access to basic public sites as well as their own user account. All right. There's the power user role as well. This can be defined in what are called permissions menus, and you can find those on the different resources on the platform. And then there is the guest role. This is given to any non-registered person, I'll say, that comes to a site to view public pages. All right, this allows you the ability as an administrator, for example, to control what non-logged in users will see on any site on your platform, okay? All right, now, as I mentioned, within sites and organizations, we have the administrators. We also have owners, and these are those who have created a site or an organization. That's going to be one step above an administrator. That just means an owner can remove an administrator, but an administrator cannot necessarily remove an owner. And of course, ownership can be transferred, okay? And we also have members, all right? This is a special role for those who are either a member of a site which gives them access to a specific set of resources. We'll talk about that in the next chapter. Or they are members of an organization. Now, of course, you can create custom roles. So I gave the example of the content creator role. That is not included on the platform. That's something that you would need to create if you needed that kind of thing. All right. You can go to the roles section of the control panel, and you can simply add a role, select the scope, and define the permissions. Okay. So it's a pretty simple process, and we'll actually go ahead and take a look at that shortly. Okay. So to wrap up here, a role is going to be a collection of permissions that represent an actual job function or role that you have on the platform. Okay. It's going to be scoped to either the entire platform, an organization, or a site. So that allows you to be more specific about what you can do and where. Okay. Regular roles are going to be the roles that apply everywhere. Organization and site roles, of course, will be for selected organization or sites. Okay. And as we'll see here shortly, you can also create custom roles in that roles menu for any of these scopes. Okay. So what we're going to do next is we're going to create a custom role for Maria Flores. Okay. She needs to do some copywriting, and we want to make sure that she can actually perform that function on the platform. All right. So let's go ahead and dive right in.